That picture of Virginia on the boat, I do believe the photo was created after March 10th, 2001. An image of her from that boat wearing that outfit was then used in the fake photo. I believe he was doing some transactions possibly with him and some
With young
business.
girls looking about 15, 16, what transactions is he doing with them, for goodness sake?
Even doing business with a convicted paedophile is enough to have you thrust out of the royal family.
Just because you write an email and there's a photo that doesn't even look real, somehow you've raped somebody. It's absolutely rubbish.
The email was a bit of a hammer blow to me because in the email he said, let's play again soon.
But how do we know that's even a real email? We didn't even see.
Well, he hasn't denied it.
I think people at the palace have been actively working with people like the lawyers to bring Andrew down together. It's quite scary right now. We don't want him suicidal. The people that are behind this, I think they want him dead.
The late Queen always believed her son. She thought he was completely innocent.
Yeah, she must be turning in her grave.
There has to be due process, and I would just remind everyone who does buy into that hysteria, a suicide is partly why we are here. Has Prince Andrew, now simply known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, really been treated fairly? And can he ever attempt to clear his name? Now, what I've seen over the past fortnight is mainstream media hysteria, a desire not just to cancel this man, but to drive him to an early grave. Indeed, senior members of the royal family worried about the mental health of Andrew, and we've already had one suicide in this Epstein mess. We do not need another. What has disappeared from the mainstream media is any sense of balance about this man or anyone willing to speak up for him. So today I'm absolutely delighted to have back on Outspoken my very good friend, Lady Victoria Harvey. We have had debates about Andrew over the years. I don't agree with her on all of this, but I'm certainly much more open-minded. And what I hate to see are witch hunts. Angela Levin is very, very strongly opposed to the behavior of Prince Andrew. And just before I get you going, Lady V, I just want to paint a picture of how Angela feels about this, okay? She writes that Andrew now makes her stomach turn. She thinks Charles should stop him from coming into the country altogether. She says any decent person wouldn't want to see him or have anything to do with him, and that he should lose all money for quitting Royal Lodge because it's in such a good state. She says having such a poor state, sorry. She says having affairs may be fine, but he shouldn't have used young, damaged girls and make them bleed, so he feels strong. Indeed, she goes further. And Angela will be able to elaborate on this, but
she's fallen for the
Well, let me just finish
narrative.
what she says, and then I'll let you come. And she says, some way should be found to put Andrew into prison. So I just wanted to paint that picture so that you could respond, Lady V, first, and then I'll bring Angela in.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that last thing was ridiculous. Like, even if it had been true, which I really believe it's not true, she was 17. So what question do you want to start with?
Well, what about the fact that Charles should not want him in the United Kingdom altogether? Would it have maybe made more sense for both parties, Lady V, for Andrew have to be being able to start a new life in exile in a place like Saudi Arabia where he would be welcomed?
No, I think that's a ludicrous thing. You know, from what I gather, he's very happy to be in England, doesn't want to be, you know, near the rest of the family in Windsor, and I think Norfolk will be a lot more private for him. As far as like these claims, I mean, you know, Angela, you're just going by all the sensationalism that has been in the newspapers. At the end of the day, there is zero evidence that he did anything. We've just seen, just because you write an email and there's a photo that doesn't even look real, like somehow you've raped somebody. It's absolutely rubbish. I don't think there's any proof. I think this is a complete witch hunt, and we're taking away, somehow no one is asking about all these other emails. So there's apparently like 100,000 emails, like tens of thousands of emails. Where's Bill Gates? Where's all these other people? Are they losing their home? Are they losing their career just because they sent Jeffrey Epstein an email? I think it's like ridiculously harsh, and it does seem a lot of a bigger machine behind this to abort the monarchy. I really think this is part of a monarchy takedown, and that is what is behind this.
Angela, do
Well,
you want to come in?
yeah, absolutely. Well, I agree with you. There's lots of other people who haven't behaved very well as well, and they need to be talked to and found out. But we've now got court documents. Now, they are absolutely right, and some of them are appalling about Andrew.
Court
And
documents saying what exactly? Because I've read actually most of the depositions and court documents.
well, that he's linked with Jeffrey Epstein and what he was doing.
He was linked because he was working with the guy. He was trying to make money,
No, they're not asking about making money. I mean, this is the court. This is not somebody who just wants to be unpleasant towards him.
Can
This
I
is the
can I just
court.
No,
jump
I know,
in
but
and ask Lady V?
that
Can I
doesn't
just
make
jump
any
in and
sense.
ask about, because you
What?
raised the email, Lady V.
Yeah,
To me, can I just make one
yeah.
point?
Mm,
The email was a bit of a hammer blow to me. I'm
mhm,
not gonna lie,
mhm.
because he told Emily Maitlis, Lady V, that he
Yeah,
had cut all communication with Epstein. Now
yeah.
that was a lie, because
And
in the
that
email he
that
said,
I
"Let's
don't.
play again soon." It's
I
like,
know.
what do you
But how do we
mean?
know that's even a real email? We didn't even
Well,
see
he
the
hasn't
email.
denied
It
it.
was, you know what I mean? It's a screenshot of an email. Like it's not, there's no email address or anything on it. I just think this is such a witch hunt. They are trying to say that he did all these things. And, as soon as I got closer with any of my evidence, then they come back with all this other stuff. Um, there's been quite a lot of new developments, which I am excited about in the last 24
Or
hours.
what can you tell
So,
us?
well, a girl has come forward and has just filed a police report on Virginia. So, Virginia recruited her and her friend who was 14, she was only 13, to Jeffrey's hotel room that weekend of March 2001. Virginia gave them like £100 and said, "You'll get some nice food and you'll meet interesting people and there'll be sweets." Um, so yeah, I'm very excited about this. And she said, she's coming. She was in touch with Virginia years later, on Twitter. Virginia was trying to get her to lie about another prince, to say that he had raped her, which she wouldn't do because she had never met the guy. And originally Virginia was going to go after Albert of Monaco, but when she realized, because she would have seen him on Naomi's boat, but she apparently never spoke to him. So she was going to go after Albert instead of Andrew, but she basically messed it up because she said in her first book that this young prince had this foreign accent. And anyone that has met Prince Albert knows that he doesn't. He has like an American accent when he speaks English. So she decided to not go after him and then went after Andrew and
So,
wanted
Lady V,
this
can I
girl.
clarify? Do you
Yeah.
still believe
Mm.
that Prince Andrew did not meet and did not have sex with Virginia Giuffre? Is that
Yeah,
still
I
your
do.
understanding?
I still believe that. I still believe my original story. Look, I'm also the only person in London. No other journalist has got into that space at Kinnerton Street. That picture of Virginia on the boat, I do believe the photo was created after March 10th, 2001, and an image of her from that boat wearing that outfit was then used in the fake photo. If you look back at March 10th weekend 2001, it was actually one of the coldest weekends on record that we have actually had in England. So would she be really wearing a little crop top and those trousers with the window open behind her? I don't think so. We just have to be critical at this point, and I think people just need to like really like think of the right questions, because her height doesn't add up. These are just logical things. Virginia's height in that photo does not add up to Andrew. Her body looks the same size as his. I had a guy, Tim, who is a photographer for 30 years, come with me to Kinnerton Street. And I uploaded a photo in my story of him last night, of standing in that doorway. He is only 5'8.5". Andrew is 6'1.5", nearly 6'1". And Tim came higher up in the door frame than Andrew does.
Can we just
Yes,
can we
please
just
come in,
leave
Angela.
her?
Please come in.
I
Can we-
use it.
Lady V,
I
just let
wanna
Angela
say-
come in.
I just wanna
Okay,
say
make your
one
final
thing.
point, then Angela can come in.
What I am coming with is facts and logic, and everybody else are giving an opinion. They haven't been in that house. They don't know. They haven't measured it. They haven't seen it. They haven't got the whistleblower people that are coming out to me, coming out to them. It's like it's just like they're falling for the mainstream narrative. Since COVID, I think people have become a lot more aware of when a story is pushed so hard, it's usually not true. It's usually the opposite.
Oh.
Because that's what happened to us then.
Angela, you
Can
want
I
to come
just
in?
ask you, yes, where he said that he was going to not have any more companion with Epstein, he doesn't want to do anything, but he wants to go and speak to him and say something about it. He doesn't want to talk to him by sending an email, right? I don't know whether you think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I
But he
mean,
went hang on.
yeah.
He went over there. He stayed 4 days, and I was given a film of him sneaking in, sneaking out, and looking around and
I
going
think
in and out with
everybody's seen
girls.
that. Yeah.
So, do you think he's a decent man? Do you think he's never had an
I
affair with anybody apart
I
from?
I think that he was purely, I think he was the main thing why he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and he went to see him in the park that day. I believe like that he was doing some transactions possibly with him and some
With young
business.
girls looking about 15, 16, what transactions is he doing with them, for goodness sake?
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about business.
But I'm talking about them.
I don't
Okay,
know. I don't
but
know what
Lady
he
V,
was
let me
saying
just
there,
take that point as read, though.
but we
A
just
lot of
need to
people,
be
Lady V, no, but a
logical.
lot of people, Lady V, would say
Yeah.
that even doing business with a convicted paedophile is enough to have you thrust out of the royal family.
Absolutely.
Well,
I was looking, can I just say one more thing
Yeah.
about you? I don't mean it badly at all, but you said when you were with him, you often felt very scared. It didn't feel
About
comfortable.
Jeffrey Epstein, I said that.
Yes. And you could feel that it wasn't the right place to be. So what do you now mean by that?
With Jeffrey, I just don't think he was a particularly pleasant kind of guy. He wasn't that friendly, Jeffrey Epstein, as a person. I think he was just all about business, and he was known to preferring to really hang out with physics professors and those type of people. I think he just saw,
How did
the
he treat
girls.
you? How did he treat you? Because
I
you saw him
I
quite a
mean,
lot, didn't you?
he didn't do anything bad to me. Ghislaine was my friend, and that is, how I met him. She was my friend, and she never
But
did
didn't you know
anything.
what she was doing? She was gathering girls to hand round to give men pleasure. Didn't that make you feel sick?
I didn't really know that. And
You never
now
knew that.
what I can say about
But
Ghislaine is
she asked you to come to a party and bring friends so she could pass them round to
no,
friends.
she
This
didn't
was
tell. She
written.
did
This is
never.
written
Don't
by
put
you
words in
saying
my
that.
mouth, Angela. She never told me to bring friends.
But you go to the
Absolutely not.
parties. You went to
What's
the
that?
parties. You went to
I went
parties.
to some dinners, but I was never told to bring friends, you know. These were like very important people that we were around, and no, I was never asked to bring friends along. Look, my views have changed a lot since the last 4 years because literally every week I'm getting more information, more information. So, you know,
And
I
so
think
you are
Glenn is one of
continuing
the
your
biggest.
fight, Lady V, because one thing that has interested me
Mm,
is everyone else seems to have faded away. I mean, there are,
yeah,
and I'm interested. I know you're very, very close to people, you know,
yeah,
close to the family. So
and
I just want the truth. But there have been
yeah.
reports in the mainstream media over the past few days, Lady V,
Uh,
that Andrew has even lost the support to some extent of Sarah Ferguson and his daughters Beatrice and Eugenie. Is that
no,
true?
no, I don't think that's true at all. No,
Why is she going away then? Why is she not staying with him?
I can't answer that. I think she wants to be near Windsor and he wants to be over there. So, um,
Well,
Are
she won't
you
be
I,
getting it.
angry with Charles and William? Lady V, do you think they have treated Andrew unfairly?
I do think they have treated him unfairly. Right now, he's not convicted of anything. This is all hearsay. All we have is a photo that doesn't
He
even look
might
real.
be. He might have.
Just because you're friends with someone doesn't mean you're, you know, I could be friends with someone that ends up turns out to be a serial killer. You know, you never know. Like I actually met a guy in LA 10 years ago and he did end up being, you know, he murdered his girlfriend. So, you know, you just don't know.
Can I
Um,
ask you, were you ever in love with him?
no, no, it was more a friendship. It was really more a friendship. I'm doing
Because as
this
a
with
friend, you've been amazing. You spend all your
I'm
time
but
trying to make things better for him.
I'm doing
Most
this
of
for the
us think he
Queen.
couldn't do that.
Angela,
Explain that,
I'm
Lady V.
doing
That's an
this.
important point.
I'm doing this for the Queen. I'm doing this for my country. You know, the Queen was extorted of a lot of money as she was dying in her like, you know, last months of her life, and I just don't believe it's right.
Can
Um,
we just go into
all-
that a bit more, Lady V? Because this is a
mm,
really important point. People
mm,
close to King Charles have tried to blame Queen Elizabeth II over the past few weeks and have said that she almost left this unexploded bomb for Charles to deal with. My reporting, and I'm
mm,
interested to know what you have discovered, but my reporting
mm.
is that the late Queen always believed her son. She thought he was
She did.
completely innocent and she wanted
Yeah.
him to be looked after. So would she be
I,
disappointed with
Yeah,
Charles
well,
and William?
I actually, yeah, she must be turning in her grave. Look, her dying wish was for him to stay at Royal Lodge. But you know, Charles has always been very, very jealous. And sorry, the screen. Charles has always been very jealous of him. He's wanted him out of the way. And to be honest, I think this whole like conspiracy situation, I think people at the palace have been actively working with people like the lawyers to bring Andrew down together. At this point, I mean, I did say it a couple of years ago, and I do like now I really believe it because it was actually the palace themselves that leaked emails about Andrew on some of those emails to his like policeman about, you know, let's find out more about Virginia or
So you
whatever,
think Buckingham
which
Palace has turned on Andrew and is now feeding
no,
negative information about him to the
no,
press?
it hasn't just happened. This has been going on for years. Look, as soon as his mother died, I just feel like a big dark cloud came over Buckingham Palace and the royal family, and the hyenas were out, and the
But,
courtiers, the,
but.
the courtiers that you know
Hmm.
do everything for Charles. I don't even think Charles really knows what's going on, to be honest. You
I
know,
I think that
um,
Andrew was much more jealous of Charles than Charles was of Andrew.
don't be
He
ridiculous.
tried very,
Charles,
very hard to make the Queen make him next king, not
no, I've
him.
never heard
Yes.
that. But to
And
be
after
honest,
she
if the
died,
Queen,
I know it from very, very good sources.
okay, well, if the
When she
Queen,
died, can let me just finish one
yeah,
sentence. When she died, he then put in a huge effort that Charles did not get the crown. It went on and on and on. It was
I mean,
very
to be honest, Angela, I can believe that the Queen would have wanted Andrew instead of Charles, and I think that probably made his jealousy even worse. Look, Andrew was the younger, decorated, ex-fighter pilot. He came back as a
That's when he
hero.
was young, very
Yeah,
young,
I'm
not when he
talking
gets
about when he's
older.
younger. Charles has always been jealous of him. The Queen was a lot. She was 10 years older, into her role as the Queen, had always a lot more time for Andrew. She had no relationship with Charles. From what I understand, she really didn't even like the guy. And he
Yes,
was
she did. You know,
always
she didn't when he was small because she thought he was too sort of
she
shy.
had a
She
somewhat
did when he got
relationship.
older.
The
They
only
got on
reason
very, very well. And the last few years, he was marvelous to her, and she was so grateful. He really looked after her. He did so much work for her,
Well,
and
that's
he
not what
looked
I've been
after her
told.
very nice. Well,
Lady V, do you think Andrew made any mistakes in recent years? So I'm thinking, for example, the
Oh,
Duchess
sure.
of
Yeah, and he
Kent's
should never have done
funeral
that
in
interview.
September.
yeah,
Okay,
yes,
more recent than this. We'll come back to the interview, but say the Duchess of Kent's funeral in September.
Mm,
He thrust himself to the front of the
mm,
church, and he was guffawing. He was joking about. Fergie was guffawing. Now, this is a funeral, Lady V. And
mm.
William was furious about it. And some people say it was actually this moment that William decided, no, this is enough. He can never come to any events, even funerals or weddings. Do you think that Andrew is sometimes lacking in almost
common
social
sense.
skills, basic social skills?
Yeah, no, that I agree. Like some of the things he does, to be honest, like I think the real reason behind it, he's sort of autistic. Like he's got something that he doesn't really realize the consequences of things, and it's not
That
just
makes
because
sense to me, actually.
a friend of mine, like people have even written to me about it, saying, he needs to get tested and all of that, but he doesn't want to. But I think that would actually really help him, because that would show people maybe this is how he has reacted to certain things which they don't approve of, just like how he came across in that interview with Emily Maitlis, as people thought maybe he sounds insensitive, and he was just very sort of matter of fact and almost a bit kind of military about it. But that's how he responds to things, and I
Angela, would
just
that
don't.
change your view at all if Andrew were autistic?
Yes, I think but it's very, very late
And
to
they
talk
have that
about
in the
that now.
family,
But I,
they're.
but I also think that that's not an excuse for him to have behaved as he has done with young girls and older girls. I don't think that's anything to do with that. I mean, how he does might not know how to behave in conversation, but I
I
think
mean,
it
those are
doesn't make
girls
any
throwing
difference.
themselves at him. It's hardly him. Do you know what I mean? Look,
Well, I mean, he's
you're
a big, strong man. What's going to knock him over? You just sort of move back. If these
those
men
girls
come
do
and
not
throw
look
themselves at
underage.
him,
Those
if
girls
you,
don't look
if you,
underage. Why shouldn't he be able to have fun? They're not underage. So what's the deal? I mean, we
no, but
can't
I mean,
freaking
when he
we
has, they
and
said he
by the
had
way, that
10.
boat, Dan, stay on that shot of the
Yes,
boat.
we'll go back to it.
So that boat in Thailand, so my friend Nelly Hooper, actually, he chartered that boat for the day, and they were on holiday with the Ellie Ashes, Bjorn Borg, a couple of other people, Jackie Hamilton Smith, I believe. And that day on the boat, there were no random girls. Oh, it was Lucas White and his wife Normandy also on the boat. These were all wives and girlfriends of people. There was no
So they were not
random girls.
prostitutes, because
There
that's
was
what the
no,
claim has been.
no, no. These are proper people. No, these were they
But
were
even
not
if they had, this
prostitutes.
is
There
once.
was
You
no
can't
Ghislaine
compare
there.
that
There was no
once.
Jeffrey there. You know, so it's just like the media they just run with this story, and the people I'm mentioning, will back it up. Amanda, who's Johan Eliash's wife, she's the one that when that story came out in the newspaper, she actually reached out to me and said, "This is ridiculous. I was there." Like so the problem is about this story, everyone kind of ran for the hills. No one wanted to get involved.
No, because
And
this is
that's
what's
why.
happened when you're cancelled. No one
Yeah.
is prepared to speak up. Now, look, that's why I've wanted to conduct this conversation without hysteria. And I do think it is important, by the way, that we just touch
Mhm.
on, and we've got to be careful, of course we do, because it's private medical information. But Lady V, I have been told
Yeah.
Andrew's psychiatric health is not in a good way, hasn't been in a good way for some time. We
Well,
learned that,
how would you feel? How would anyone feel to be crucified to a cross like this? You know,
and we're told that
it's
Prince
like,
William is even concerned.
I don't know about that, but I imagine it's quite scary right now. You know, we don't want him suicidal. I know that's, you know, that the people that are behind this, I think they want him dead, clearly. And they're just not stopping. And yeah, it's a
It does
crucifixion.
feel that way to me. It
It
does.
does. It's
It it,
sort of
it
like
it's
they're
like
not
they won't
stopping
be happy until he's
until
in a
he's dead.
box. And
Yeah.
there has to be due process. And I would just remind everyone who does buy into that
Mm.
hysteria that
I
a
mean, look at the,
suicide is
yeah,
partly why we are here. I mean, I personally don't
yeah,
believe Jeffrey Epstein
yeah.
took his
Uh,
own life. That's a whole other debate.
there's
But
been
we
a lot
don't
of
want
dead
another one.
people. Dan, we also had Jean-Luc Brunel, so I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you a good story that
Now, just for
I
people who don't know, Lady V, that is the French
yeah,
modelling agent who
yes.
was also connected to Epstein, and he is also believed to have taken his own life. But
He also took his life in jail. Now his story is quite interesting, which hasn't really been made public. So he accused Virginia on, I mean, she accused him on a number of occasions. Okay, so the first one, Virginia stated that she had sex with him and he raped her in Saint Tropez after the Naomi Campbell boat party. He actually managed to disprove that by showing his passport stamps that he was actually between Australia and America at the time. Then she conceded and said, "Oh, I must have got the wrong person and have made a mistake." Now, we need to talk about this because it didn't just happen to Alan Dershowitz where she thought she made a mistake. She also made a mistake with Jean-Luc Brunel. Now, not only about that night, also in Virginia's first book, she said she had the orgy on the island with Jean-Luc Brunel and 8 girls. When Jean-Luc Brunel managed to also prove that that was a lie, she then switched the story to Andrew. When Andrew's team managed to prove that he was not in New Mexico with Virginia, she then swapped the story. So this is kind of what she does, you know. So
Well,
what do you make of that?
well,
Because it's not.
Angela,
she was a very poor child, actually. Her father raped her when she was very
I
young.
actually do believe that part. I believe that that is what
And she
made
was
her who she
treated
is.
very badly.
Mm,
And within her book, which is extremely moving, I don't believe everything about it,
mm.
but I do think that there's something there that actually is true.
No, he did it, and I also have proof from Sarah Ransom. I'm communicating with Sarah Ransom through Rena O right now. And you know, she wants to come out with her story how
okay.
David Boys made her lie on
Okay, well, look,
many
we are.
occasions.
I am more than happy to keep across this, Lady V. You know, I've
Mm,
always said that. You know,
mm,
I think Andrew has made huge
mhm.
mistakes, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, he
but
did lie.
also, isn't Jimmy Savile like way worse than Jeffrey Epstein? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes,
Jimmy
he was
Savile was
revolting.
raping 12-year-olds in their
Mhm.
hospital beds,
Dead,
and
dead,
he was very close to Charles.
when they were dead.
He was way closer to Charles than Andrew was to
Yes,
Jeffrey Epstein.
Prince
I have
Philip,
seen
actually.
people.
It's
I have
Prince
seen
Philip,
people
his
made that
friend.
point. I also do
No, it was
just.
Charles. Charles was very good friends. So you know
There
what?
was
Charles
Prince Philip.
can't be crucifying his brother when he actually
Mm.
was involved with a
No.
much more
I
dangerous
understand what you're
man.
saying. I also do just want to make the point because you know I always give both sides of the story that
Mhm.
Sky Roberts, Virginia
Yes.
Giuffre's father, has
Yeah.
denied the claims of sexual assault in the book.
Can I just say one thing about, I
Yeah.
think you're extraordinary that you
Mhm.
have spent so much
I know.
looking after him and looking through what's going on. I think it's absolutely extraordinary. And in a way, you've taken a lot of your own life out, haven't
Mhm.
you? Because it's eaten
four
so much
years.
time.
Are you
I
Yeah.
going to
think
stay
it's
on this, Lady V?
extraordinary.
Just final question, Lady V. Has
Mm.
anything that has emerged over the past few weeks about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor made you think, I've made a big mistake here. I'm not going to
No.
stand by him. I'm going to move on from this. Have you had any doubts?
No, no. And now
Mm.
I've got a new lead that's just reached out to me about Virginia, and they were staying on Park Lane the weekend that she claims that she was staying at Kinnerton Street. Also, another thing to remember is Ghislaine has photo evidence, video, and photos of her at her mother's 80th birthday, the weekend that Virginia says that the fake photo happened.
Fascinating. Well, look, we are going to stay on this. What I really love about this is that we have been able to have a completely respectful conversation between all of us. We all have
Mhm.
different views on this, but it's not what you're getting in the mainstream media, where I've seen the interviews of you, Lady
Yeah.
V, on Piers Morgan. You're just shouted down. It's a pointless
Well,
experience,
it's
you
not
know?
fair. It's always me against five
Yeah,
people,
100%.
like
100%.
I,
So I
I,
so
I
so
need
I
a.
will be, look, I'm open-minded. I think Andrew
Mhm,
has made terrible mistakes, but we will keep on the story because of course I just want to cover both sides of it.
mhm.
And I've had Andrew Lowney on, you know, so I'm having both sides of this, you
And
know.
then of course, the other evidence is we have these damn recordings. We've got hours worth of recordings of Virginia Giuffre or Maria Farmer and George Tonks, and the FBI are not releasing it.
I
So
know, well, we need
I'm
to see
actually
them.
flying. I'm flying to America this week to see what's going on that,
Get on to
because this is
Cash
not fair.
Patel.
Well,
Lady V.
I'm just worried that Cash is compromised.
Yeah.
If Mossad are behind this whole thing, and he's literally dating an Israeli honeypot right now. So where does that bring us?
Who he praised on X this week. Fascinating stuff. So
Mm,
much more to come. Lady Victoria Harvey and
thank
Angela
you.
Levin. Adore you
All
both.
right.
Thank you so much. And of course, for so much more of our royal content.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle returned to the Hollywood spotlight, appearing at a star-filled gala in Los Angeles, just hours before attending the lavish birthday celebration of Kris Jenner. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were seen alongside major celebrities, including Serena Williams and Demi Lovato, at the Pacific Design Centre, during the annual fundraiser hosted by Baby2Baby, a charity dedicated to providing essentials for children in need. The couple posed for photographs before departing for their next stop. The 70th birthday celebration of Kris Jenner, held at the sprawling Beverly Hills estate of billionaire Jeff Bezos, a residence valued at more than £160 million. Guests arrived in formal attire for the James Bond-inspired celebration, which included appearances from Adele, Bill Gates, Justin Bieber, Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, Kylie Jenner, and Oprah Winfrey, who previously interviewed the Sussexes in a headline-making broadcast. The outing marked one of the couple's highest-profile social appearances in recent months, fueling fresh public discussion about Meghan's rumoured return to acting and the couple's renewed engagement in celebrity circles. Harry, dressed in a classic tuxedo, wore a remembrance poppy on his lapel. Meghan opted for a sleek monochrome ensemble, but notably did not wear one. Just days earlier, the Duke had written an emotional reflection on remembrance, urging the public to support veterans carrying what he described, in sentiment, as the invisible weight of war. He also referenced his visit to Ukraine, emphasising that many service members risk being forgotten once they leave uniform. While the Sussexes visited Hollywood's biggest stage, a very different scene unfolded in London. At the Royal Albert Hall, the British royal family gathered for the annual Festival of Remembrance, a ceremonial tribute to the armed forces of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. This year's event, marking the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, featured music, spoken testimony, and a special tribute to children of service members who have experienced loss. The ceremony also recognised the 25th anniversary of the policy change that allowed lesbian, gay and bisexual service members to serve openly in the military. The Princess of Wales, standing with her eldest son, Prince George, joined King Charles and Queen Camilla in honouring the nation's fallen. The princess wore a black dress by Alessandra Rich, styled with the HMS Glasgow brooch and a pair of earrings once worn by the late Queen Elizabeth II. Her remembrance poppy was handcrafted by Izzy Ager of Lock & Co., a recent graduate of the Royal School of Needlework. Prince William was not present at the event, having just returned from Brazil, where he led celebrations for the 5th anniversary of the Earthshot Prize. However, both he and the princess later joined King Charles for the national silence observed on Remembrance Sunday. The contrast between the two royal appearances offered a vivid split-screen moment, Hollywood glamour on one side of the Atlantic and solemn national reflection on the other. One marked cameras flashing on a red carpet. The other marked a nation standing still in silence. Together, they reflected the diverging paths of a family navigating duty, identity, public expectation, and a monarchy looking firmly toward its future.